Here, and it's good to be back. It's been a long time, but as the rest of the team can account for, real life just hasn't behaved this summer at all. But we are back now, and I'll very quickly go around the team, welcoming back. Everyone loves him, our very refined and gentlemanly Pumpkin. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm very well, my dear Carl. It's such a pleasure to be on this delightful show.
And of course, Zilla, what's up?
Hello, all good. How's everyone doing?
Hipster.
Right. And Marty, what's up?
Yeah, not much.
All right. And I think we shall just get straight on with the show. Remember, you can call us. You can see down the bottom of the screen. Add the Skype contact, Trolling with Logic. We'll add you. Don't call the show. It'll just get in our nerves a bit if the whole call starts going crazy. Anyway.
Oh, thanks. You're not going to introduce me.
Hold
on.
And this is a great
Bloody
start.
guests getting over themselves.
We're professionals.
Yes. And so here to introduce our guest, Marty, with his wonderfully well-rehearsed introduction.
Oh, I was supposed to rehearse something else. With us this week, year, whatever. How long has it been? Whatever.
Yeah.
Is Myles Power, who you might know from his YouTube channel, where he mainly addresses conspiracy theorists. At least that's the videos I've been watching. He's also one of the hosts of the League of Nerds podcast.
Yep.
I think that's about it. Oh, and he's some sort of science guy. So yeah, but he does science with squishy stuff, like, you know, living things, I think. So
no, I'm chemist.
Chemist. Oh, okay. Well, then I respect you.
Yeah, I deal with white powders and crap like that. It's no live things.
Oh, that's proper science.
Oh. And we did forget to introduce the Kitch. Hello, Kitch.
Oh, hello.
All right, yeah, Kitch is here with us as always. Let's get enough of the silliness, or is this just the start of the silliness? We don't know. Anyway, Myles, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me again.
How's it going?
Oh, how's it going? Yeah, it's all right. It's Friday night, so I'm happy. It's work done for another week.
Yeah, so I think we'll just kind of get straight into some questions. Like I said, the pre-show there, we had some of your videos, and you know, I think probably what you're most famous for now is the AIDS denialism stuff. And I think out of all, and I think that's the one that seemed to affect you kind of emotionally the most, would I say? Because like in the last few, you were getting a bit emotional toward, like, especially what all you'd been through, plus the stories you've gotten from HIV/AIDS sufferers as well.
It was one that was it's one where I okay, how can I put this? It's where YouTube and everything started to affect my real life, and it became very real because I had actual people talking to me who had been affected by this, people who were going to die pretty soon as a result of being AIDS denialists. You know, they literally spiraled down. It was really upsetting. So I kind of hoped that I wouldn't come across that way towards the end. I'm sorry if I did. I tried to stay kind of detached throughout, but I guess it was kind of hard because I was getting sent some really quite upsetting things. I mean, I published a letter that I got sent from an AIDS denialist, and how he sent these DVDs around to all his friends, and him and his boyfriend just really believed everything this movie said. And it wasn't until one of them nearly died that he realized this was crap, and now he's doing everything in his power to kind of fix what he's done. And it does really get you in the feelings. Anyway, sorry, I'm wittering on. Sorry.
No.
Am I to understand that there are actually people with AIDS who are AIDS denialists?
Yeah, there's loads of them. Yeah, I mean, Christine,
so what? They're saying they're not sick, or what?
There's multiple things. You have ones that think that basically the HIV tests don't work. There's a conspiracy around the tests that if you go in for a test, it's going to give you a false positive, and then you take these drugs. Excuse me. And it's these drugs that are going to give you the symptoms of AIDS. So there's a lot of them. I mean, one that I talk to quite a lot is called John's. I can never pronounce his second name, Stranglis or something. He was one of the people who really didn't like me at the beginning, but slowly he started reading other stuff and realizing, holy crap, you know, HIV does exist. I'm gonna go on the medication, and so is my pregnant wife. But yeah, that's an example of someone who has been infected and doesn't believe it's a thing. I mean, look at Christine Majori. She was the front runner of Alive and Well with AIDS Alternatives, and she was HIV positive, and she was saying that it's perfectly fine. It's the drugs that get you.
Yeah.
Just out of interest, have the Foo Fighters ever made any kind of retraction of having done that charity gig for them?
They did more than the charity gig. They posted banners to Alive and Well with AIDS Alternatives, which was Christine Majori's organization, on the front page of their band's website. I mean, you can still see it now if you go on the Wayback Machine. I don't know if they ever apologized for it. I did try and find out if they did, and I couldn't find anything. This is going back 2 years ago. I just know that it disappeared off their website. But yeah, if I was them and I did that, I would pretty much have a new thing on the front of my website saying, apologies, we were wrong. This is all the evidence for it. Anyone who listened to us before, we're sorry, and this is the information you need to have. But yeah, that's not there. It's kind of odd when you think about it, because everyone says that like Dave Grohl is like the super nice guy of the rock world and he does nothing wrong. And I keep thinking to myself, fucking hell, he did this. There's a lot of people out there. Well, there's fewer people out there probably because of him. Yeah. Anyway,
It's probably more the fact that they just tried to sweep it under the rug than admit they've made such a catastrophic fuck up.
yeah, probably.
So yeah, this gig was this. Did they knowingly know? You say, were they fully aware this was for AIDS denialism?
Yeah, there's loads of pictures with the whole band and Christine. In fact, there's a documentary where they're all there being interviewed and talking about HIV and how it's they say it's not a death sentence. I'm not worried about HIV anymore. I'm not worried about AIDS. And they go on like that. They were very much behind Christine. I mean, like I said, they had a banner on their front page of their website in the early 2000s. They honestly didn't believe that HIV was a problem.
Right. We lost Zilla. Yeah, we have done. Well, we'll carry on anyway.
I just find it absolutely amazing that people who are affected by something will deny that they're being affected by it. I mean, yeah.
Well, to me, that really wasn't the surprise, really, because I think I think it's almost very human, very natural to just like deny, no, I'm not ill, I don't feel ill, and HIV is unusual that, once you get infected, it could be years, decades until,
Yeah.
It's an unusual one. So a lot of people, it's easy to deny, some test tells me that I'm HIV positive and I feel perfectly fine. Bollocks, it's fucking wrong. And, people don't want to admit that they have this really quite nasty virus, especially back in the 80s and what have you, in the early 90s, where it was a death sentence, really.
Yeah.
And still is in some parts of the world.
Yeah, I suppose. But yeah, it's the stupidity of some people is just, yeah.
Well, no, I don't think it's stupidity. That's one thing. It's a lot of people are scared. A lot of people, well, some of them do want to believe they're precious, unique snowflakes, and they didn't have to go to medical school or university or read a book. But the majority of them are not stupid. You've got to remember as well that a lot of people don't have access to the same information that we have. So you're talking like early 2000s in South Africa. Even today, a lot of people don't have access to, we can jump online now and we can just find pretty much anything.
But those are, well, if people in that part of the world who don't have access to information, I mean, that's one thing. But my understanding is that those are not really the big people behind this conspiracy theory.
Actually,
I mean,
well, it was big in America, but it really hit the hardest in places like South Africa, because you had scientists like Peter Duisberg coming over there and convincing the government there under, it was Mbeki, I think, that, this can't be the fault of this one virus. Your country has so many things, else that are potentially wrong with it. And also, I mean, this came off after the apartheid, and there was a lot of conspiracy theorists around, because HIV at the time, I mean, it seemed to just target black people, homosexuals, and intravenous drug users. That was the opinion at the time. And so it seems like how could this be that, a certain sex in society that some people don't like are affected by this. So it was big in South Africa. I think it's estimated that 300,000 people died as a result of Mbeki's leadership regarding HIV, and just shy of 1 million became infected. I mean, it was pretty bad. Yeah.
Because I've got some South African friends, and so not one of the, as well, the current president, he had sex with an HIV, because there was that scandal with Zuma, isn't it? His name is current president.
I don't know.
There was a
sorry.
sex scandal, and he had, this is kind of a side. He had sex with an HIV. He had an affair with an HIV-infected woman, and he said, I had a shower afterwards.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, he publicly said that, and he testified to that in court.
Oh, grand. That's totally fine then.
But
say no. There is well, people talk about like a reason behind getting circumcised if you're in a very high risk group and in certain parts where certain precautions can't be had. And they say that, well, basically having a foreskin is going to keep the infected bodily fluids around there. But so to some extent, but again, crazy, absolute crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, but there was one thing I wanted to ask, because, I've encountered 9/11 truthers online, and I've seen your videos, and I just thought, how did you manage to find such nice ones? Because that's not been my experience with them at all.
I think it's just a case of people on the internet not being very nice. The majority of truthers that I've had contact with in the real world have all been lovely. And they all were. I mean, I only saw... excuse me, beer. I only saw one person who was barking, howling at the moon, crazy, and I purposely did. I was like, no, I don't want to deal with him. I don't want to show the crazy side. These people are people. They just disagree on certain things. So I wanted to show that these people are human. I mean, I even left in certain parts of the video to show that. There's a bit where a guy with a flat cap, someone yells something quite nasty at him, and you see him turn and kind of stop and like kind of smile like really awkwardly and go bright red. I wanted to show that these people are human, because they are. And yeah, like the majority that I've met in real life, I mean, I'm not just talking about the ones at Grand Zero, I'm talking about ones that I see. I mean, my barber's a 9/11 truther, and he's a really nice chap. I daren't ever question him, because it's taken me years to find a good barber, and I don't want him to give me a bad haircut. Yeah, I don't think I was lucky. I just think that the internet sometimes brings out the worst of people.
Yeah, the anonymity kind of thing, isn't it?
Mm.
Yeah, my experiences with 9/11 truthers has been entirely negative. It's just.
Oh yeah, that's right.
They have. Yeah, you know about this.
Yeah, it spilled over into me a little bit as well.
Why? What happened?
Nah, there was this one guy. I'm not going to give him the pleasure of shouting him out.
It was Jesus.
No, he basically started stalking me, saying that I need, he started demanding that I respond to him and whatever, and he was just he would be on forums harassing me. He'd be on YouTube, of course, but he couldn't take a hint. I blocked him everywhere. He would just keep going.
See, I never got that. I never got any crazy harassers or anything. I got the odd death threat that wasn't serious. But I never got crazy stalkers. Yeah. I feel a bit. I feel like I failed a bit.
Because this guy, he started contacting me about getting onto the show as a guest. He was demanding to come on, but for he couldn't comprehend that. Approaching me, calling me a fucking asshole, and saying that our show's a bunch of bigots. He couldn't understand why we weren't too welcoming to him either.
Mm.
I still don't know why you wouldn't let him on, just so I could have 5 minutes with him.
So one thing here I really like in the comment section, someone says, would you prefer the internet to be anonymous? Do you think the public exposure would calm people down? That's a really good question. What do you guys think?
Hell no.
No.
No, I like it that people can be anonymous if they want to. I just think people need to take responsibility for what they say, even when they are anonymous.
Yep. And so let's say hello to Kitch for real this time.
Hey, Kitch.
Kitch, say something. Okay, that's great, Kitch. Thanks.
Say something, you bastard.
No,
Fucking
Kitch
scrotum.
isn't saying anything at the moment.
While we're waiting for Kitch to start
you carry
talking, someone asked if I was happy now that Kent's out. Kind of. I'm waiting for him to say something funny.
The problem is, he's kind of saying the same things over and over again, isn't he? It kind of was awesome. It was awesome that, like, this sounds really awful, that when he was in prison he could no longer do these, so he had like a legendary status, like you know, when someone famous, a famous artist dies, they're almost like immortalized. It was like that. So when he came out of prison and now he's saying the same old stuff, like, oh, I've heard that all before, come on, Kent, you're better than your goddamn son, he's boring as hell, can't listen to him.
Although it is quite funny because recently he's gotten into a debate with flat earthers, which is bizarre because you're actually on the side of Kent Hovind in a debate here, because there's flat earthers attacking him for saying that, you know, oh no, you're completely wrong, it's undisputable the world is round, and flat earthers have really turned on him because a lot of them supported him.
Oh, right.
But this really does show the stupidity of flat earthers. I mean, we will side with Kent Hovind against these guys.
I think I found a way to make it work. Basically, I don't like Kent Hovind, so whenever he talks, I ignore him because he's a penis. But whenever you're dealing with a flat earther and Kent Hovind, and you think to yourself, Kent Hovind's right here, but I don't agree with him, you simply say, yous are both bastards in different ways, because everyone's equal and lovely.
I know, but it makes you feel dirty though, doesn't it? Ken Hovind doesn't really bother me, but I remember one time when I was on the side of Piers Morgan and it just felt awful.
Oh.
Oh yeah, that will push you anyone to the limit. Anyway,
Kitch, say you had a chemical bath afterwards.
Kitch, say something, please.
Hello.
Yay!
Hey!
Welcome back, Kitch.
Yeah, it's my new tech setup. I tried to get a wireless mic, but it didn't work, so I had to plug it in.
And you sound awful. The quality is really bad, but never mind. Marty, can you take some questions right now while I sort out the screen's all gone crazy at the moment?
Yeah, stop touching things.
No, it's because
I say this all the time. You need to stop touching things when they work.
No, it's a fact Zilla keeps dropping out the call all the time. That's what's causing this at the moment. Anyway, carry on while I sort
Do we
this out.
have anything from the chat room?
Yes, a very intelligent person by the name of Angry Pumpkin has asked, how do you science?
Who's this for?
I'll just put it like this then. Conspiracy theorists in general. How would you say that you should address them if we're talking about like whether we're talking about poning them or educating them, whatever? What would you? How would you approach them?
What, me?
Yeah.
Well, first I'll say that, you know, some conspiracy theories, conspiracy theories are real. There's no doubt about that. People do conspire to do stuff. I mean, the perfect example is Watergate, but it depends what you want to do and what medium you want to do it on. I mean, YouTube is a great platform, but it depends entirely what you want to do. So you can either preach to these people, or you can be in an echo chamber where people who agree with you can hear your thoughts on the subject, or you can try and suggest to them, say, hey, maybe you're wrong, this is why. I don't think you're a jerk or anything, just I think you're wrong. And that's the approach that I've always done. It kind of works every now and again, but it just depends on what you want to do.
Yeah, so I should clarify to start out with, when I'm talking about conspiracy theorists, what I mean is the people who basically think that they have an idea, and if you disagree with them, then they can always say it's a conspiracy. I don't mean people who accept that at some point two people have agreed to commit a crime. Obviously, there are conspiracies, and some of them are on pretty high level. Like you mentioned, Watergate, of course, but
NSA.
The whole idea that they are covering up the evidence of whatever, so that's obvious. Whatever crazy idea they have is obviously true, because why else would the evidence be gone? I mean, obviously it's being covered up.
So how would I deal with those kind of people?
Oh crap! Phone. Sorry.
For fuck's sake.
Well, I don't know about the rest of you guys, but again, it depends on what it is, depends on who they are, depends on what kind of conspiracy theory it is. Some of them are just daft, and you can be like, come on now, it's a bit silly. And for the more serious ones, I think like the AIDS denialist ones, House of Numbers, the kind of ones, you have to, ones where people are going to get hurt, you have to be like, all right, okay, you have to almost like structure your arguments and what you do towards not being so like aggressive and like frontful. I'm saying this terribly, because what happens is if you suddenly like tell people like, no, this is wrong because X, Y, and Z, a wall will come up and they just won't listen to you. So I think the best way is to kind of sneakily say, hey, maybe this is a bit wrong, and then just go for the full like, boom, this is also wrong. I mean, what do you guys think?
Well,
I'm back. Sorry about that.
all right. Yeah. Well, we'll go with Marty, because you're probably the more prolific of the video makers from the team.
Yeah. Quick recap, because I was on the phone.
All right.
All right. I just said it depends on the conspiracy and depends on the person. And something I missed is that essentially sometimes you just can't get through to people, no matter what you do. One thing that I've learned pretty hard on the internet is that not everyone has the same reasoning skills as the next person. And that's something I honestly, as naive as it sounds, something 4 or 5 years ago I actually thought. I thought you could sit anyone down and explain anything to them, and they would think about it. But I've come to realize that some people you can't.
Right. My take on how to deal with conspiracy theories is that, well, I don't, because usually when someone starts talking about how so and so is a conspiracy, they've already decided that if I convince them otherwise, then all that means is that I'm in on the conspiracy. So basically, you can't change their minds. I tend to view it as arguing with a creationist. There comes a point when a creationist has had all his points completely blown out of the water, and he probably realizes that he's, even if he still believes what he believes, he realizes that, okay, there's something wrong here. This isn't working at all the way it's supposed to. There's not supposed to be any evidence to support evolutionism, which they still call it. And I've presented things that shouldn't exist, and so on and so on. So they will simply drop that, realize that, okay, I can't win this, and then they will change the whole thing to, I'll pray for you. It's a conspiracy. That it's the admission that, okay, I have nothing. So the conversation is over. When someone says it's a conspiracy, or they're covering it up, NASA is lying, the CIA is lying, the Illuminati rules the world, blah, 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 they have lost the conversation.
Well,
we're done.
You and I think they have, but they don't.
Yeah. No, they don't. But what that means is there's no point having any conversation with them.
I don't really know. To be honest with you, I've not really had much dealings with that kind of person, so I don't know. Not much good at this. One thing I found that's interesting though in the last few years is how fast conspiracies come about. I mean, I'm
Oh, yeah.
I'm already timing for, there's an explosion in China a couple of days ago. I'm waiting for that one to come out. I think by the weekend, at the end of the weekend, Sunday, there's going to be a big conspiracy about
Check
how
natural news.
is it already there. Oh,
I assume it is.
Yeah, well, I'm waiting on it, and you can set your watch by it. Usually, it's within a day, but I haven't seen anything so far. But so they're running late, but it's going to happen. China was stockpiling, I don't know, something or other, and it was to who knows. I'm excited to find out though.
I think we could actually just speak a bit about natural news, because for me, that is probably the worst website ever I've seen in my life for the content it puts out. So, I mean, would you agree with that? Because especially Mike Adams' personal blog, which I find just utterly disturbing at times, the things he comes out with.
It's... Oh, sorry.
No, just saying, like, natural, in particular, Mike Adams' personal blogs that he writes there, it's actually quite scary, some of the things he comes out with.
I've only read a couple, so what kind of things does he talk about?
Well, there was the one where he advocated killing any scientists. Have you read that one?
He what?
He advocated killing scientists. He actually called for people to kill scientists.
Isn't he a computer scientist?
No, but what he was arguing was what Monsanto was doing is the same as the Nazis, and people fought and killed the Nazis, so he urged people to do the same to scientists, in particular biotechnologists. The thing was,
really?
when he was criticized for it, usually you get oh, that's no, I just meant people. He just openly said, yeah, that's what I meant. He's not denied it. He's actually said, yeah, that's what I really mean. He wants people to commit acts of violence, and he does advocate killing of biotech.
That's nutters.
Yeah.
Like, even from like a bloody, I don't know, like legal stand, that's crazy to say online, especially
Yeah, he
someone as big as
got
him.
in trouble for it.
Oh, what happened to him?
Well, I don't think he got any actual punishment, but he was contacted from what I understand, the FBI actually contacted him and said, basically, you can't say things like this in public because we have laws against inciting violence.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's inciting terrorism, isn't it?
Yeah, something like that. I don't know. I don't know if that's true, but that's my understanding anyway.
I think,
and he did take down the article, but it had already been captured by others, so it's still available.
But like he's kind of confirmed what he said in the article, and he's never actually taken it back. And of course, he used the FBI contacted me as, yeah, what more evidence do you need?
Oh, they're watching him, and it's
yeah.
And
then
yeah, because nobody's going to watch somebody who's advocating killing people on the internet.
Natural news would be funny if it wasn't giving out such bad advice that could really hurt people.
Yeah.
I mean, some of it is just fucking crazy. I mean, I know that you guys talked about it, and I've talked about it as well. The guy, he was saying you should go find a homeopathic Ebola. You should make homeopathic Ebola. That's just fucking crazy.
But the one thing is, that was so crazy, even natural news had to pull
I
it in
know.
the end. That doesn't happen very often, that they pull something that they think is crazy. Because I say, the thing is, Alex Jones, I think he's just genuinely entertaining. He's just a goofball. Whereas
one of the best things, I'm sorry, got to interrupt you. One of the best things Alex Jones has ever said that I've heard is that my washing machine is spying on me. And that was just, when you hear it and you're like, did I hear that correctly? And I went back and I re-listened to it 5-6 times. He's like, he's saying that? My washing machine is spying on me. No. Unbelievable.
One of my favorites of Alex Jones, I think, is juice cartons make you gay.
What?
Yeah, he says there's some chemicals they put inside juice cartons, and it's making us gay, so they can, as always, control the population, get the population down.
Oh, Calypso, you fuckers. That's incredible. Get the population down by turning everyone gay. Well, I guess it makes sense, ish.
I was going to ask, hey, do you plan to tackle, because that one seems to be quite in vogue with the conspiracy theorists, the whole, well, they call it depop, but it's population control.
It is part, well, I've been working on this forever. I'm not getting anywhere. I'm doing a whole thing on chemtrails, and that's part of it. And to be honest with you, this chemtrail thing is already a year behind, and I've got nothing because no one will talk to me, and I keep missing. I went to a conference called QED, and unfortunately, they scheduled it at the same time as this march in London against chemtrails, and I had to pick one or the other. And I went with the QED, so that's the only footage I could have got this year, and I didn't go, which is stupid of me. But yeah, chemtrails is massively into depopulation, which is obviously working, which is why population just keeps going up and up and up. Chemtrails is fantastic because people don't realize, but it is literally so many conspiracies in one. It's the GMOs, it's the government, globalization, one world government, the Illuminati, HARP. It's everything. It's fascinating. It's also chemistry, which I love. So I can't wait to do it.
So can we get sort of a short version of it?
Spoilers: chemtrails don't exist.
Yeah, but what are they saying? I mean, what I know about it is basically that contrails from airplanes are supposed to contain chemicals that come down, and apparently they don't understand that it's a stupid way of distributing chemicals.
Oh yeah,
but anyway.
If only they could put some kind of chemical in the water source.
The government is gassing us or something like that.
No. It's much more than that. So the government are putting aluminium and barium in jet planes to fly over and spray us, and that's making us sterile. That's also causing organic crop to fail. It's also a way of controlling the population by controlling your mind. And then somehow this leads on to HARP. I'm not exactly sure how, but they say that HARP can somehow control the weather. And then it's all about controlling the weather, geoengineering, and making it. To be honest with you, this is where it kind of fades out. It depends on who you talk to. Depends on where the conspiracy goes. It's essentially, people are poisoning you from the sky. But there's interesting tidbits of things that are correct. That are correct but incorrect. So the aluminium and barium are based on actual chemical tests. But if you look into what actually happened, I'm not going to spoil it, but there's a reason why it's like that. There are more chemtrails these days, contrails, whatever you want to call them. And that's not just because there are more planes, but there's a reason why more planes make contrails these days. I feel like I don't want to give you spoilers, but it's interesting. It's basically planes are more efficient.
Have you seen the wonderful video that Cool Hard Logic had where obviously there's that woman who can't understand why there's a rainbow in her backyard from the sprinklers? She's spraying vinegar trying to disperse the chemtrails. And in the background, you can just see that her lawn has been completely annihilated by the vinegar. And she's not putting two and two together here at all.
Aww.
She's not thinking, the lawn's died ever since I've started spraying vinegar. Why might that be?
That's kind of funny, but then it makes you wonder, about the person who did that. If she's all there in the nicest possible way. I mean, that's awful. Funny.
Kitch, we'll let you in. You've been quiet. Yeah, he's even quieter now. Right, Kitch, are you there? Kitch?
For fuck's sake, Kitch, use your words.
Kitch, say something. No, he's not. He's gone again. Right, we do have some callers lined up, so one of you guys take a question and I'll sort out the caller.
Okay, Zeller, your turn.
Unfortunately, I can't run the chat room because my computer dies on me, so I don't have any access to the questions.
Does anyone have anything that works right?
No. There was a question up there somewhere.
What do you expect?
Chemtrails.
Here's a genuine question. Whenever you were talking earlier about conspiracy theorists and how some of them are genuinely nice people, being that they're people and people tend to be okay sometimes, what do you think the truly batshit insane, howling at the moon, running down the street naked, screaming, "The government's going to get you." What do you think those type of people are actually trying to achieve? I blew that out of proportion as much as I could for a fact.
I think when people who take it to the nth degree, and I think they tend to have mental health problems, and they tend to attach themselves to things like this, and it kind of feeds back into certain tendencies they may have. One interesting thing, a lot of my family work in mental health, and my mum does, and one thing that she always says is that you can almost time mental health by what people were saying. I mean, now it's all one world government and chemtrails and all this kind of jazz in the 2000s, but then beforehand it was all 9/11, and then before then it was mobile phone towers controlling your brain, and then before then it was nuclear power and aliens and stuff like that. So some people, the problem is that I think with some people who are very unwell, coming online and talking to other people who kind of agree with certain things that are very out there in the fringe isn't beneficial to them. It's basically reinforcing their delusion. But I don't know. I'm not in mental health, but yeah.
No, that's consistent with what I've come to find as well. That they find each other and reinforce each other's beliefs.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I once went to a meeting in Manchester. I can't remember what it was called. Like We Are Change, I think. And it was amazing. Well, I told them straight away while I was there that I wanted to talk to them. I wanted to make some kind of video, but it never ended up being made because they all decided not to let me do it. What's that noise?
Caller, can you mute for a second? I think that's what it is.
Oh, sorry. Anyway, yeah, but it was fascinating because I was talking to a guy who'd never heard of chemtrails, and then suddenly it got brought up, and then half an hour later he was adamant that chemtrails are real, and this whole time he spent it in the basement of a bar, so he'd never even been outside. So it was fascinating seeing this echo chamber and then seeing someone basically believe in it from that.
It's a really good question Cal just posted up. Myles, do you think the AIDS denialists could really have done anything to you now that you know you carry the ginger gene?
What? What does that mean?
I'm just reading them, man. Don't shoot the messenger.
It was kind of a given anyway. My mum was a bit of a redhead, and there's a shit ton of redheads on my mum's side of the family. My folks are divorced, so it was always like a Christmas dinner was always be like going around the Weasleys, and I was the mousy brown sheep of the family. So I knew. Plus, I can't deal with the sun. But yeah, there's nothing worse they could do to me. I already know I'm ginger. But that's awful. That's an awful thing to say. HIV is very awful. Sorry, I don't know what I'm saying. I've had a couple now. I'm starting to be a bit funny.
Yeah, expect everything to go downhill from now.
All right, Nathan, are you with us?
I am now, I think. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you loud and clear. So, Nathan, you're on with Myles.
Hi.
Hello.
So one question I was interested in asking is, have you seen any 9/11 conspiracy theorists or AIDS denialists or anybody else you've gone after change their mind as a result of the work you've done?
Yeah. Every other day I'll get a PM from a 9/11 truther, almost every other day, saying that I've watched your videos and I was the strongest a believer in this kind of stuff, and now I'm not. AIDS denialists, not so much. I think I've had a couple. Let's have a look, see if I can get one here. Oh, here we go. So this is August 10th. Hey man, I just watched your 7-part 9/11 video. I must say that in the past years, I've always had an interest in blah, blah, blah. Basically, yeah, I get that kind of stuff all the time. The AIDS denialist, I've had one or two. John guy that I was talking about earlier on before, he was one. He recently published a blog post where he said that I basically was a little bit of a catalyst that got him away from the AIDS distant movement. But the problem with that one is they're so set in their ways, and the people can be so vicious when they change their minds. I mean, John has had horrible things said about him, horrible blog posts. Somehow, I think they got hold of his personal information. It was just very awful what they did to him. So I think a lot of people from that group would be reluctant to contact me or to even go public that they no longer believe this kind of stuff. But yeah, with the 9/11, to answer your question, sorry, I tend to go off track. To answer your question, yeah, 9/11 one, every other day I'll get an email saying, hey, I watched it and it makes a bit of sense. Thanks.
All right.
Oh, thanks for your answer. That's kind of encouraging.
All right. Thank you much.
Sorry for my long-winded response.
Is that everything, Nathan? Is that everything, Nathan?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, is that everything you've got for us?
That's about all I've got for now. Thanks.
All right. Thanks for your call.
Good talking to you.
I wanted to kind of follow, well, seeing as conspiracy theory seems to be the theme of the night, is there any conspiracy theory you've seen and you've just gone, no way, not going there, that's just too out there? Or any conspiracy theorist in like David Icke or something like that, have you just thought?
Oh, yeah, there's stuff that's just not even worth your time. I mean, the whole lizard people, no, I mean, no. Essentially, that's you look at some stuff and you're just like, no, that's not. I'm not going to get anything from doing that. It's not going to be entertaining to watch on YouTube. It's not even going to worth my time. Some of it is just bollocks.
All right, guys. Anyone else have anything? Because there is another caller waiting to get on, so you guys can or see what the chat room has to say.
The chat's just being retarded.
What have they done?
We have a guest that can't actually type properly, trying to talk about the government's agenda to push the gay agenda, and it's just hilariously pathetic.
What is the gay agenda?
Calypso for everyone.
Ah, yeah.
I think the gay agenda is basically everything with rainbows and people being happy, generally nice things.
Oh, there's a question. What percentage of your scripts / videos do you end up having to scrap?
Oh, there's a fair few. There's script-wise, no. I tend to be when I make a video. For the most part, there's been about 3 or 4 where I've just made something I'm like, no, reject it, that's crap. But for the most part, they get made in the end. But there is multiple retakes. I think the most I've ever done was 5 retakes on one video. Which one was it? I think it was a Negamiles video. That was definitely a lot. And there was another one. Oh, which one was it? Oh, it was the Prometheus one. I must have reshot that about 5, 6 different times because every time there was something not quite right with it. It didn't look properly or look well, or I didn't say something correctly. Because what I do is I tend to have bullet points on my laptop whilst I'm recording, and I'll know certain things that I have to talk about, and I'll kind of remember a script. But generally, it's very organic, which I like to do because you can see how sincere I am when I'm actually talking about these kind of things. But yeah, the reshoots are a pain in the ass, especially when you're shooting in fucking 1080p and suddenly you're racking up like 30, 40 gigs worth of movie. It's a pain in the ass, but hey ho.
Yeah, I know that. I tend to script everything though myself, so I don't have to reshoot all that much. But yeah.
Do you do it line for line then?
Yeah, pretty much.
See, I honestly can't do that. My memory is crap. Like a few sentences in, I'll forget it.
Yeah, but what I do is when I'm not on camera, I just read from the screen.
Yeah, me too.
And then when I try to have this, very short parts where I'm actually on camera. So I will be able to memorize that, and I do maybe like 2 or 3 takes of each line. And that actually works very well.
What I do is I'll do a segment, and if I like it, I clap at the end, and then I can see the audio peak, and then I'll be like, right, when it comes to editing, I can do it a lot faster. That when I learned that trick, that just speeded things up a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah, that's another
I
good one.
suppose, can I ask you, Myles, do you have any tips for anyone who might be getting started into doing some pro-science videos or debunking videos?
Yes, I have the best advice out there. I'm not even going to lie. Or, you know, anyway, the best advice is just fucking do it. Your first videos are going to be terrible. You're probably going to be incorrect. You're going to look awful. It's going to be awful in general. But when that first initial push is the hardest thing to do. And once you do that, you'll find your audience. You'll become better, and eventually you'll produce content that you will be proud of. But it's the initial hard jump. I mean, I wanted to make YouTube videos since 2007, and I didn't start until 2011. So it was like 4 years where I was just sitting on my ass doing nothing, just thinking, God, I could do that. I could really do that. And it wasn't until some Brummy guy pissed me off that I eventually did it. But yeah, the hardest thing to do is just that initial jump. Just do that, and then take all the criticism and all the nasty names you're going to be called with a pinch of salt, and just keep doing what you're doing. As long as you're producing good stuff, that is.
Yeah.
Can I ask just quickly, in case I've actually missed it, who was that Brummy guy who pissed you off?
Oh, it was some guy with 4,000 subscribers who, at the time, I thought was just a phenomenal amount of people. And he was saying that, excuse me again. Oh, pardon. He was saying that everything in vaccines is evil, and he was listing all the chemical elements that make up certain compounds, and then he was mentioning certain inorganic compounds. And, you know, as a chemist, I was like, I know what those do. I'm pretty sure aluminium can't control your mind.
That's what
no.
they want you to think.
Luckily, the aluminium sorts those people out. No, so yeah, I just made a response back to him, and because it just, you know, when you sit there and it something really knocks you off. And I was there trying to write a response, but YouTube only had a small thing, and so I was like, fuck it, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to make a video. Let's just do it. And then when I uploaded it, sent it to him, went back a few weeks later, and noticed that all his vaccine videos had disappeared. And he implied on his side bar where you could do like a little bit of a profile thing that he got his kids vaccinated. I was like, fuck, people actually listened to me. And then I just kept going, and then I ended up on a podcast 4.5 years later.
Fair play. I wish I had that success.
All right, we do have another caller, Mr. John Doe. quite appropriate for given the theme of the evening. John, are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yep.
We can hear you.
Perfect.
So you're on with Myles. Ask your question.
Right. First of all, I'm a big fan, Myles, and Mortimer as well.
Thank you.
I have a question to Myles about cancer denialism. Do you know that this is a thing as well?
I didn't. That's the first I've ever heard of it.
All right. There is a thing from Germany. It's a kind of pseudo-medicine therapy called the, wait a second, the New Germanic Medicine. And basically what it is it's a theory by an ex-German doctor. Ex because they took his license away. Basically, he says that cancer doesn't exist, that there is a deep psychological reason for the symptoms associated with cancer. And it's, if you go down the rabbit hole, it's like crazy anti-Semitic, weird conspiracy theory and pseudo-medicine mixed. And there was like a story in Austria, if I'm not mistaken, where the Austrian authorities had to force the parents to let their cancer-ridden child be treated with normal medicine.
No, that's the first time I've ever heard of it. And that's
you should look it up.
I know.
Very
I definitely will. I know someone who works in cancer. She's called Vicky. She was on the League of Nerds with us a couple of weeks back. And I'm sure she'd be really interested, if she's probably already heard of it, but I'm sure she'd be really interested to maybe talk about it on a podcast or something. That's really, thank you for letting me know about that, honestly.
You're welcome.
Surprising.
It's just very interesting because like conspiracy theories have so much in common. If you look at it like as Venn diagrams, you know, like a Mark Dice would agree with an Alex Jones on the Illuminati is real, but when you go into the details, they do not agree. Some think it's like a satanic energy behind it. Some think it's the Jews or the financial elite or whatever. But they all have things in common. They are somehow interconnected.
The one thing I found is that the only thing they have in common is that they don't agree with the official story or the official narrative. So take AIDS denialists for an example. Like, they honestly disagree with each other. Some people don't believe HIV exists. Some that believe that it does, but it doesn't cause AIDS. Some believe that the American government made it to kill black people, gays, and drug users. All those people, even though they completely disagree with each other, like on core things, they will all stand together and be in a movie like House of Numbers or other bollocks, as long as they're all against the rest of it. It's fascinating how they can switch their mind off to certain things and be chummy with people who completely contradict them as much as the official story.
I just had this.
I noticed that
whole
9/11
exchange.
truthers are like that as well. You've got some truthers who say that the planes were
Holograms.
the planes were holograms. The planes were CG. The planes were actually missiles. There were no planes at all. It was just on TV. But yeah, they were CG'd on TV afterwards.
That's one that went viral a year ago because they said a building appeared in front of the plane when it should be behind it. Took like 30 seconds on my iPhone to be like, yeah, that's obviously shit. Like, how and yeah, this person wrote an entire article, probably made a fortune out of it as well.
One I laugh at is people talking about, oh, jet fuel doesn't burn hot enough to melt steel. It doesn't fucking need to. When you're forging something out of steel, you don't melt it, you just heat it so it's more flexible and less able to take a pounding.
Oh, someone's got a question here I think I should answer. Do you reckon Liam Chaff is actually mentally ill, or he's just playing up lunacy to market? I think there might be something slightly wrong with Liam. Obviously, I'm not in the position to say that like clinically or what have you, but there are certain things that I've heard on the grapevine that you're just like, something not quite right there. And so part of me now is feeling a bit bad for what I did, but still, no. Actually, no, you're right. No, he's a jerk. He DMCA'd me and got me and all that kind of shit. Yeah. Anyway, sorry. Thanks, John, for the cancer thing, by the way.
You're welcome.
I'll definitely ask.
Thanks
Vicky
for
about it.
insights.
Sorry, what was that?
Thanks for your input on that topic as well.
Okay. I think you've got a few more questions, John, so just carry on.
Yeah, like I have a few things written down that you guys might be interested in. There was a German documentary about chemtrails. I saw it on YouTube, and they connected Chaff from fighter airplanes to the chemtrail conspiracy theory, which I've never heard of from the USA. Because Chaff, for example, Chaff is what airplanes, fighter planes use to distract radar, I guess.
Yeah, it's a kind of electronic countermeasure to distract missiles that are targeted on the plane.
But it physically is like, it's hard to describe, like a plastic, and maybe there is also aluminum in there, which is like the chemtrail conspirators get really excited about that. There is a chemical involved.
It's a combination powder of aluminium, certain plastics, and chemicals that creates a static discharge that fucks with radar and guidance.
All right.
Yeah.
So that's a connection I never heard before, and maybe because it's a German documentary, you never heard of this connection before.
I'll have to look into my research for chemtrails. I mean, again, the interesting thing is that there is like these snippets of truth with all these documentaries. I mean, aluminium has been looked at as a potential geoengineering tool to put it into the environment to bounce back some sunlight to lower temperatures to counteract greenhouse gases, which if you ask me, this is how the Matrix started. So I don't want that to happen. And neither does a lot of people. I mean, even the people looking into it say, no, it's never going to happen. But it's interesting that all these snippets are all there, yet they're all kind of weaved into this odd narrative. I mean, okay, let's say these planes are doing that, and that's linked to chemtrails and all this kind of jazz. I doubt little fighter jets could carry very much of anything. So
the thing is, it shows up on weather radar.
Oh,
So
right.
that might be an element which is important to the conspiracy theorists.
Well, there's loads of other stuff. There's like silver nitrate that's used to seed clouds. That's a big part of that conspiracy. Because these things do physically exist and they do have certain properties and they can be used in that way. So that's why I'm really looking forward to doing this. But eventually, when people will meet me, at the moment, I kid you not, everyone thinks I'm trying to kill them. And that's why they won't meet me. I'm not even making this up. So many people have been like, oh no, others have been topped off. I don't want to meet you. You know, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, come on, dude, I'm 5'8", I'm from Middlesbrough. I'm not very, I'm a bit on the chunky side. There's no way I could ever hurt you. But no.
Did you ever see this picture which supposedly shows a chemtrail airplane from the inside, you know, with like big metal tanks?
Oh yeah, there's loads of them.
Do you know what that is actually?
It's for testing. It's to be humans.
There you go.
So
Exactly.
the idea is when you test a plane, you've got to make sure that it's able to carry the weight of humans. So they just fill them up with water barrels or what have you, and then they fly it around, and that's it.
Exactly.
But there's interesting things as well. Like some of them have pictures of the far of the wing, and they'll have like a nozzle, and it'll be spraying something out, and they're like, "Oh, fucking hell, that's chemtrails." That's real as well. That's something called fuel dumping. So it's really interesting. All these little tidbits of correct things just being weaved in. Yeah.
I think what I find most funny about the chemtrails thing is that they seem to have this idea that rain should be pure water. They don't understand how clouds form. You know, you need a certain amount of dust in the air for the water to cling to first to form the clouds. But what's going to come down, what's going to precipitate, won't just be pure water.
But yeah, that's something else I'm going to talk about. I mean, like the best example is snow, because whenever it snows, people think that the air is somehow crisper and nice, and that's because all these nucleation sites have been taken up by ice crystals. So yeah, it's looking forward to making this. Just need to convince people to let me record them.
I think
Good
the
luck.
main problem you'll have with people talking about chemtrails and shit is, while most of it can be explained, learning things is hard, making shit up is easy.
To some degree, yeah.
I think that's why there's the famous saying, isn't it, that a lie can make it halfway around the world before the truth has even put its shoes on. And I find that a lot with making debunking videos on YouTube, that before you've even managed to start debunking the last pile of crap you've come across, there's about 10 or 20 different new piles of crap out there.
The problem is as well is it's hard, like to actually locate what the feck these people are talking about, and then to find the actual information behind it. I mean, most of the videos I do, I'm not specialized in. It takes me forever to get my head around them. And by the time I've done that, let's say for a certain video, this other person's produced 10 others on different things. You're like, Jesus Christ, I will never catch up.
Just out of curiosity, what's the one conspiracy theory where you had to do the most research, or the one argument you've ever heard where you had to really took you weeks and weeks to find, you know, the evidence against it? There's one claim that sticks out.
There's not one claim, but definitely the AIDS denialist stuff. It's not at all what I do. I mean, I'm a chemist. I've worked with RNA and DNA before, and that's essentially as close to biology as I've got. I mean, I've got stuff to produce stuff for me, but learning all the medical stuff was hard. But as for the individual, like single thing, I guess Agent Orange was a difficult one, because there's obviously, how did that get made? I mean, Agent Orange technically isn't that bad. It's a unwanted side reaction that makes this dioxin compound that it is responsible for all these nasty side effects. And then looking into, you know, they must have known this. I mean, even back in the 60s, they had analytical ways of telling what was in certain batches of stuff, and then finding out that certain companies like Monsanto and ICI told the American government that this stuff was out there, but then saying that why did they resell it? So that was quite difficult. Just for a couple of lines in a video, probably took off and on a couple of days to get to the end, to the point where I could reasonably say, this is what happened. It's the odd throwaway comments that take forever. I mean, I don't know about you, but Marty, but do you ever, when you make a video and you're reading your script, then you think, hang on a sec, have I made a bit of a hole here somewhere? And I'll have to go back and like a couple of days later, you're like, shit, I'll have to rechange this one sentence because technically that's wrong.
Yeah, it does happen. There are also cases where I feel like I would really like to put a source here somewhere, and then I have to sort of, it's one sentence about this thing, screw it. I'll just, is it important to the point I'm trying to get across? It's just digging up relevant sources can be a pain in the ass at times. So,
especially if you're behind a paywall.
Yeah, that's definitely a problem for me.
I was just wondering, Myles, I don't know if you've done it yet, but you did promise that one day you were going to let, is it James, your friend, who you
No, don't finish the sentence. I know this is happening because you said this before. Don't finish the sentence because then people will make it happen. So
no, it's got to happen. You did promise.
Okay, so I take it you're talking about when I made James do a chemistry test.
Yes.
And
hello.
Oh, hello.
Jeez.
Hold on. I haven't got it just right.
You haven't got it right at all, you daft bastard.
Kitch in isn't going to let Myles off the hook here. I want to see Myles take that test.
Yeah, we'll let Myles finish. I think the caller might have a few points after that, and then we've got another caller waiting as well. So finish your point, Myles. Try and get everyone back on track.
So I make James do a chemistry test, and then...
I gotta take a chance here and be rude. Am I interrupting?
Yes.
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 Now be quiet. Now you started talking. Be quiet again.
I can hear myself in an emirate echo, but feck it,
Shut up. I'm going to kick you in the bollocks.
So anyway, yeah, Thingy wants me to do a biology test, but really simple stuff. I mean, the horrible thing was I was doing really awful things to him. So I was like, what's an alcohol? And he's like, I should know this. I use ethanol every day. So yeah, I'm a jerk. All right, fine. If anyone wants to ask me a biology question, here's your one chance, and watch me fail terribly. What the hell is that on your ears, man?
Yeah, this is the new tech that, well, it's a wireless headset.
All right.
I'm not the only one doing a Neff impersonation anymore.
I thought you were all trying to act like Cybermen or something.
Kitch, pull the microphone away from your face.
How far? That far?
That's fine. Anyway, anyway, let the caller. I think you had another point there, didn't you?
Yeah, just two small things which popped up in the chat, which I thought were really interesting. And one is that you almost never mentioned that, and in my opinion, it's true. Most conspiracy theories have their roots in the Cold War, you know. So lots of it, I guess, is Russian propaganda that still like sticks somehow. Fluoride, for example, or MK Ultra and all that stuff. And
I'm not sure. History has never been my thing, and I don't know. Well, I don't know. I mean, I could see certain things, but you know, like propaganda against certain countries has been going on for a while. I mean, the First, Second World War was lots of it there. But I mean, what kind of examples do you have?
I was thinking of fluoride. I think the fluoride conspiracy theory is basically a KGB thing, project. That's something I heard. Citation needed.
Oh right, awesome. Well, I didn't know that. That's something I'm going to I have to look into. I honestly, I'm really terrible. My general knowledge in general is really quite lacking. But one thing I seem to be good at is just like researching one tiny point. And every now and again, you know, I can't see the forest for the trees. But I didn't know that. That's really interesting. There's two things I'm going to have to look up now.
Right. And the other thing I thought was a good point in the chat was that conspiracy theories almost like they're on the way to become critical thinkers, but they kind of overshoot, you know? They're only critical about their own government, their own media, basically what mainstream is to them.
It's odd. You think with like a slight tweak, they wouldn't believe what they believe.
Basically, they are taught you shouldn't believe everything that you see and hear, and from this there is like this attitude in Europe. It's very strange at the moment. Like people would call the media Lügenpresse, which is the lying press, you know, and it's actually mainstream right now to be unreasonably skeptical of, for example, news outlets or documentaries. Here in Europe, it's now quite a topic because of the Ukraine conflict, I guess. So basically their approach is good. You know, they are skeptic, they are critical thinkers, they do not believe everything they are told, but it's just selective. They do not believe...
Can I answer this one? Because
yeah, sure.
I think they're doing the exact opposite of critical thinking.
Yeah.
They're deciding beforehand that there are certain sources that cannot tell the truth, and any source that contradicts that source is believable. They will listen to what a completely uninformed person says on some random website. That's a believable source, as long as as long as what that guy says contradicts what they are telling us.
Yeah, there's something within the truther movement and the larger conspiracy movement in which it's a major tenet of theirs that any claim is instantly valid as long as it involves the word conspiracy. It doesn't mean it's instantly, it is instantly true, but it's instantly valid as a claim to investigate, as if it's almost true to begin with. And that seems to be what they're doing. As long as you say the word conspiracy and you say they don't want you to know this, your claim is instantly valid.
And anything that official sources say is automatically dismissed because they presuppose that there is a conspiracy.
And this is why it's become a major breeding ground for even more extremely stupid ideas like geocentrism, the flat earth, things that even a lot of other conspiracy theorists would look at and go, that's a bit ridiculous. But their movement has become a breeding ground for it because of that.
Even Kent Hovind, I'm not too sure if you guys have brought him up yet, does not accept, thinks flat earthers are crazy.
Yeah, we covered
that. Kitch, come on, where have you been?
In hell for the last half hour trying to get this sorted.
Okay, caller, is that everything from you?
Yeah, that's it. Thanks a lot.
Nice talking to you, by the way.
Yeah, well,
John.
Thanks for all the questions. And
likewise.
Okay. Okay,
goodbye, random person.
Yeah.
I'm so glad, by the way, that none of you were reading the comment section through that, because we had people asking me biology questions. But thankfully, they're all gone now. So.
Quickly, people, get them up.
No.
Well, ask Mortimer what space Jews believe.
You're forgetting that there's.
Or even better, see, Myles, Ziller loves it when you ask him about Newton's law.
Fuck off.
Right, I'll get the next caller lined up, and you guys.
Right, let's see. Biology.
No. Oh, no.
So, Myles, what is an organelle?
An organelle is a small bit of a cell. So, like mitochondria. Like, is that wrong?
I don't fucking know.
Go on, Kitch.
I have no idea.
An organelle is just a small structure within a cell that performs.
Yes.
That's like an offhanded version of what an organelle is.
Myles, what's the powerhouse of the cell? It's mitochondria.
Yeah.
Kitch, can you do me a favor? Ask a really convoluted, complicated biology question to Myles, just for my entertainment.
I don't think I could. A virus can reproduce.
Yes. And I think we should get to the caller. We'll save Myles right now. We'll punish him at another time with all this. But you sir, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, you're on with us. So, what's your question?
So, I have to do a little bit of fanboying for a moment. Myles, you managed to delete a tiny piece of 9/11 truther crap that got stuck in my head when I was in middle school, because that's when it happened. So I wanted to say thank you.
Oh, I'm glad I could help.
Yeah, so I like to think of it as dumb ideas have been downloaded into my brain, and I have to purge them. On the topic that I really wanted to go after is the much more deep waters of the religious debate, where I've become fond of a couple of people in the atheist movement talking about Jesus mythicism and the trouble that they have in talking to the wider academics because of people like films like the Zeitgeist movie, or there's this other jackass that's written a bunch of shitty books that there's been really horrible arguments like Jesus was invented in the 2nd century by the Romans to control the people, and then there's the more modern myth argument that I'm rather interested in. So I wanted to hear your thoughts on some of that first, and then I'll expand if there's anything you have questions on.
Sure. I don't really know. I'm not really a big follower of the whole religious debate thing, because in England it's not really an issue. So I'm not sure how much use I'm going to be on this question. But from what I remember, isn't it like Jesus? Well, he did exist, but essentially his story is now being. This guy did exist, but it's been amalgamated and taken from various different religions and various different things to the Jesus that we now know today. That's pretty much all I know. I'm sorry, that's a really disappointing answer.
Well, that's the sort of the secular Jesus existed, but he wasn't resurrected or anything argument. There's the more modern argument that's being put forward by Richard Carrier that Jesus was originally a mythic individual that was what was called euhemerized, or had historical documents written about him to place him in history. And so I felt that it's been interesting, but the problem that I've had, and I know that you bumped into the movie Zeitgeist, where it talks about Jesus was invented by, oh bloody hell, Constantine.
Commission.
Yeah. And so there's that awful conspiracy theory with Constantine and Rome, and in the invention of religion. It seems like an incredible amount of jadedness in people. They're like, well, there's just no way that some of these things could be true.
Again, unfortunately, it's not something I really know about. So, I mean, Zeitgeist, I was really worried about doing that one because I know so little about history and what have you. And luckily, James and the guy that we had on convinced me. He's like, no, it'll be good. We'll cover this part. So I don't know if you noticed, I was really quiet at the beginning. And it was at the end that I started talking up, because it's not really my thing. But I can understand why people can be certainly jaded and kind of angry towards like thinking things like that, because they believe that they believe in Jesus and what have you. But yeah, going back, sorry, I don't really know. It's not really my thing. I'm sorry. I'm really terrible at this kind of question.
No, that's fine. I was also hoping that Martimer might throw in on this, since he does more of the religious discussions.
Yeah. Well, I really don't care about the issue. I've talked about this in the past about what do I believe myself regarding Jesus. Was he a myth? Was he whatever? And I obviously don't believe he existed as described. But when it comes to the question, did he exist at all? I don't care. For all I mean, if the claim is simply there was a guy named Yeshua who gathered a bunch of followers and got executed by the Romans, I don't think there's anything extraordinary about that claim. It's no more extraordinary than saying that somewhere in the United States there's a guy named John who's in jail for murder.
Okay.
Okay, fine. I don't see that
All right.
as a claim that needs to be addressed.
I didn't know if there'd be any interest on the panel in discussing this. So yeah, no, I appreciate your time, guys, and thanks for having me on.
Sorry for my terrible answer.
No problem.
No,
thanks
thanks for your call.
Yeah, thanks for your
you.
call. We're always appreciative of people call in.
I tell you what, I'll be back in 2 secs. Sorry, guys. Someone's knocking.
All right, no problem.
How dare you, you bastard.
The hell? Sound like a machine
What the
gun
hell
went
was
off
that?
there.
While we're in a bit of downtime, to the guy in the chat called Multimedia, you are so fucking close to a ban, it is hilarious.
Right. Anyway,
Why won't the chat? Oh, there we go. Chat updated.
so Kitch, what's happening to you?
Oh, I've had an interesting couple of days. Not much really, though.
Yeah, and the fun. Yeah, you had to try out new equipment tonight, didn't you?
Well, it's weird. I used this exact same thing for the beginner, and
You're breaking up very badly. So.
Computer went MacBook PC. So anyone out there who says PCs are better? Well, this is pretty.
All right.
And I actually prefer PC, but
all right.
I have a feeling that I've just pissed off half the
not really, because we couldn't hear.
viewers by saying that.
Yeah,
You couldn't hear me?
Yeah, not really, because we couldn't make out half of what you said there. So
am I breaking up, or is it?
Yes, you were breaking up really badly there.
It's okay.
All right, it's probably just my internet connection.
All right.
We just got a comment here. Myles, have you ever considered putting subtitles when Buck's talking? I'll tell him that. He'll get so wound up.
So I think we are coming now to the last 10 minutes. So if you do have any last questions, chat room, you better rush in with them right now. So team, you have questions for Myles after all that? Wow.
How much alcohol?
I have no idea what's been asked. So.
I actually have a legitimate question. How much alcohol does it take to deal with the stupidity?
I'm actually okay with it. It's one of my many, many talents. I have got
What spirit science?
It actually doesn't bother me. I swear.
What?
Honestly, it doesn't. It just, I kind of like, I don't, this guy's saying rubbish, but it honestly doesn't faze me.
Oh.
So I've got an entire, you probably can't see from here, but I've got an entire book a shelf full of crap books. I watch crap films, and it takes a lot to faze me. And so I don't need that much booze. I'm drinking away now, but yeah, I don't know why. I've got thick skin. At the beginning, it used to really wind me up. Like at the beginning, it used to get right on my tits. But after 5 years of doing it, I'm kind of numb to it now.
Yeah. Okay, it looks like we might have one last caller, so I'll just try and sort them out. Whereas I'll let you guys chat away while I sort out the next caller.
Yeah.
So does it really wind you up, Martin, then, when you watch his videos?
Because the whole science denial is, it really gets to me because it hurts people. And people, I mean, I realize that a lot of it isn't intended to hurt anyone. It's just people trying to deal with reality as they understand it, and they just don't have the tools to think about it properly. But they don't want to know any better. They just, they want to stay ignorant. And that really bothers me.
No,
I don't really mind too much spirit science in terms of the pseudosciences out there. Spirit science is not too high in my anger scale. Like, obviously, A's denialism, especially after watching a certain movie, it's gone straight up there. along with anti-vaxxers. GMO somewhere in the middle. So yeah, it's all on a scale. It's spirit science, not so much. But then again, I don't have to put up too much with Jordan. If I had to deal with him on a more regular basis, I'd say I'd get pretty annoyed.
I think the thing that doesn't bother me about Jordan is essentially most of the time it means nothing what he's saying. It's essentially just words. If he starts saying stuff that's factually incorrect, then that would knock me off like other people. But it's just he says nothing really.
It's just.
No, I can hear myself.
Sometimes he actually does say things that are coherent enough to actually be classified as wrong. Yeah.
To be fair, I haven't watched that many. I've watched a handful, but I haven't went through them like you. So probably if I did, I'd probably get really knocked off.
Just one thing, caller. If you have your stream on, can you mute it, please, or put some headphones on?
I think one thing I did see an article by Spirit Science about going anti-GMO, and I was curious and delighted at the same time because I really wanted to see how he'd go about it, and I was immediately disappointed because it's just it could have been any old anti-GMO article. I was expecting at least some mention of space juice.
Space juice.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love the space juice.
All right, welcome, caller. Caller, Leslie.
I believe they prefer it to be called Space Hebrews.
Leslie, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, you're on. What's your question?
My question is space juice. Goodbye.
Oh.
All right, that was quick.
Okay.
So to address the question, how to space Jew?
Simply insert Jew into rocket.
Yeah, that'll work. But well, that's technically not how Jordan portrays them. Jews are supposed to originate in space. They didn't go to space. They came from space.
Yeah, because
and the future.
And the future, because why not?
Because it wasn't stupid enough yet.
All right.
Do you not think it's wasted time, though? I know you talked about it when you were on the League of Nerds, but Jordan is really good at animating, and he has got, as much as you might not like him, he's got a cracking voice for voiceover acting as well.
Definitely.
And it's just a bit of a waste. I loved his version of you, by the way. I finally saw it.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's just a shame. Yeah, it's used for Nout. And I remember we watched that video where he went to a hospital. That was fucking retarded and ridiculous. Sorry, but that was there we go. That was one thing that really knocked me about him, is when he pretended to be a doctor in a hospital. That I thought was just unacceptable.
Zilla, can you mute, please, because we can hear you typing.
Oh, yeah. So
all right, thank you very much.
Fucking hipster.
Yeah, but
Okay,
that hospital thing is a perfect example of how pseudoscience causes harm.
Yeah, aye.
Okay, let's say we're coming up to 5 minutes now, so I think it's time to start wrapping it up. So, as always, we let...
Sorry, question from the chat room. We have to deal with this. How many space Jews would space Jews space if space Jews could space Jews?
42.
I knew that was going to come. Well, I say, so it's time to wrap up. So, as always, we give our guests their little soapbox and shameless self-promotion moment. So, Myles, have at it.
Oh, cool. Thank you. I wasn't expecting this. So, yeah, I'm Myles Power from the YouTube channel PowerM1985. Come and check me out if you want to see some more of my boring ramblings. I'm also one of the co-hosts of a podcast called League of Nerds with some guy that no one ever remembers. I think he's called Jonathan or James or something. I don't know. So check that out if you want to listen to, again, my boring voice. And I just want to say thank you for having me on the show again.
Pleasure.
It's great talking to you guys. And you should upload more trolling with logics. I've got you here on my phone, and I tried. Well, I listened to you when you had me on the show before, all of them, and you haven't uploaded anything on iTunes in forever. So you have no excuse for doing that.
Yeah,
well,
April was the last time you did it. That's terrible.
We have explanations, not excuses.
Yeah, well, I can give my because I do all the tech. I went on holiday in March, and we said, all right, 2-week break in the show, and I came back from my holiday. The first day I came home from, walked into work and said, all right, you're redundant. So that's where we've been most of the summer. It's been me finding a place to stay, and I've moved to the Scottish Highlands, and I just got my fibre broadband connected today. So.
Okay, I kind of feel kind of bad now for saying that. Oh, and also the chat has told me that I forgot about Buck. Yeah, how could I forget about Buck, the unofficial third member of the League of Nerds, who I met in the red light district in Amsterdam. Right. Nice guy.
That's where you meet the best people.
Yeah. And like I say, and every Skeptic podcast has to have their abusive Northern Irishman on it. So
Alice doesn't drink that. I feel like we've been conned. Like we haven't got a proper one.
Yeah.
If you want to send them around my way, I'll fix it.
Yeah, because I think somebody suggested the other day we should have a League of Nerds and Trolling with Logic, and just like Pumpkin and Bucky just have at each other.
I imagine it's kind of like getting two feral cats, just throw them together, and that's pretty much what happens when two people from Northern Ireland are unintentionally put together.
I believe it. I believe that it's actually the inspiration for Batman v Superman.
Yeah, but
well, they do say that the collective noun of Irish people is a carnage.
Anyway, just to kind of wrap things up, you mentioned League of Nerds, and it just so happens Kitch is on this week's show, isn't he? The one that comes out on Sunday.
Yeah, he leaked it early, bastard.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Kitch.
But
Kitch is on this week's League of Nerds. I'm not sure when he's on afterwards. We've already pre-recorded it.
Yeah.
But it might be might be in 2 weeks, or might be in 3 or 4 weeks. But yeah, so it's good. It was good to have you on.
Yeah.
And it was good to be on.
And also to follow on from Miles's complaint that we haven't done anything for a while, we are now booked up with guests until mid-November. Now I've managed to arrange guests. So coming up next week is one Myles knows. You've probably seen us talking to him. Dr. Fred Perlak's going to be our guest in 2 weeks' time.
Oh, cool.
And can you give us a little bit about him?
Oh no! Don't put me in the spot.
Just because, what's his position at Monsanto again?
Perlak. He is he used. I can't remember. It's the second commander of Monsanto in Hawaii, and he was the chap who was in charge of putting BT in certain plants.
Yeah. So and we're all getting our shill bucks well in advance for that.
When do you get paid? I get paid fortnightly.
All right. Well, we're still negotiating our
contract.
contract.
Beer.
And then 2 weeks after that, this is confirmed, and as Ziller was really excited when we've got John Sweeney from BBC's Panorama joining the show.
Yeah. No way, John Sweeney.
Yeah, and that's
the Scientology guy.
Yeah, that's going to be
funny story. He drinks for Queen and Country, by the way, so be careful.
All right. But what's going to be really cool about that is we're allowed to show the Panorama programs he did. So on that day, we'll be showing that, and then immediately after, we'll have John on, and so I'm sure everyone's going to have questions about what happened. If you're in the chat room, you don't know about him, just type John Sweeney's Scientology, and it's interesting what they did to him, to say the least.
And when you do watch it, ask yourself, who does the obviously gay, angry dude remind you of? It took me a while to put my finger on it. When we get to it, I'll tell you the correct answer.
Yeah.
It's you, isn't it?
So.
And then after that, we've got Dr. Evan Harris, the former Lib Dem MP. And he's very heavily into science-based policy and politics. So,
awesome.
And after that, we do have Screw Loose Change, the guys behind the blog that was the whole counter to the Loose Change documentary. Very happy to have them. And the last one we've got just confirmed is Mark Edward. He's a mentalist magician, and he's also an exposer of psychic fraud. So
you're putting the League of Nerds to shame here. How are you getting all these people?
It's because we're better than you.
We're putting our shill bugs to good use.
Yeah.
You basically saying your podcast is more wizard than mine. So
But we also have to address the issue of upcoming live ponage, don't we?
Oh yeah, we will have to do a live ponage soon.
Yeah.
So suggestions, people, because we've done a lot of creationist stuff. So give us something different to take on.
I may have something. I need to look into it first. You will hate me.
We already do.
And of course,
Aw.
we'd like to invite Myles and League of Nerds if you guys want to join us on a live ponage, because it's a lot of fun. It's
I can't speak for James, but it's sure if I'm free, I'd love to help. I would not help. Love to be part of it. Sorry.
And yeah, it is preferable you drink a lot during them, because it's like a whole night of just us banging our heads. You've seen the live ponages or heard them? Yeah. They're interesting to say the least. So that's everything that's coming up from us. It's fantastic to be back, and everyone in the chat room, can you please show your thanks to our guest Myles? Thumbs up for him. Again, big thanks for taking the time out to speak to us, and we'll be back in 2 weeks. Just the other thing, to watch the announcement, because the show might be on Google Hangouts, because I think Dr. Perlock prefers Google Hangouts. But we'll keep you all updated to what. But in 2 weeks' time, we're back, and the shows will be uploaded to everything in the weeks in between, because I'm going to obviously edit out a lot of the gaffes that happened tonight. So that's it, and I'll go around the panel for your final thoughts. Hipster, what did you think?
Sorry, who's Hipster?
You still responded.
Fuck you. Yeah. Oh, good. Cheers for that, Myles. I was just gonna say, I've realised that in the past 3 months I haven't released anything, and Martin has done 3 videos on the flat Earth, so I'm really, really behind. He's starting to scoop me, so I'm gonna start putting some stuff out there.
Yeah. Kitch, what do you have to say?
It was a very interesting show, though I couldn't hear most of it. And yeah, I hate my tech right now.
That was Myles.
But it was great. Thanks for coming on. It was great to have you on.
Yeah, Myles's chakras were just reaching out to you, Kitch. Marty.
Yeah, it was great to have you on the show again, Myles. I think everything else has been said.
Yep. And Pumpkin, what do you have to say?
I went into the show not knowing who the fuck you were. About halfway through, I remembered that I actually have seen some of your videos.
Oh, brilliant.
So, yeah, that's a partial success for you. But no, it was genuinely a pleasure to talk to you. I mean,
it was really nice talking to you guys as well.
All right.
That's the nicest he's ever been, so take that and run.
Yeah.
And also, I want to say thank you to the people in the chat room who keep saying this podcast was wizard. I love that that's caught on, by the way. So, brilliant.
All right. And everyone, have a good weekend wherever you are, and we'll see you in a few weeks.
Yeah.
Bye everybody.
Guys.
Have fun, you bastards.